Excellent. So take two. So welcome everybody to Coastline's Planning Summit. I'm here with my PIEAC co-chair, Dr. Deb Henry. We're here today to really highlight and share some of the great things that have occurred at Coastline over the last few months during the fall term. It's not going to just be her and I sharing, but we're going to have over a dozen presenters today within the hour, and we're going to cover a variety of different items. We will be monitoring the chat, so if you do have questions, but primarily we're going to be sharing a lot of information out. We'll have an opportunity for questions at the end, and Dr. Adrian will be closing out our session with a few words. So with that said, I will share my screen and we'll open up the planning summit. So let me share my screen. Hold on one second. So let me share again. All right, perfect. So I'm going to go into presentation mode and we will begin. So I was really, as we were putting this presentation together, we really wanted to pull back to our mission statement of trying to highlight different aspects of Coastline. You know, Coastline just isn't in a classroom. Coastline meets people where they are. I think you're going to hear that throughout today with everything that we've said is, you know, not only for the reports we write, the stories we tell, how are we always collaborating and keeping our students at the center of what we do, you know, with our mission, with our 4 goals tied to equity, achievement, innovation and effectiveness and engagement, you know, really focusing our efforts that way. And so while we could spend hours talking about the great things we do, we tried to condense everything down into a short 1-hour series of today of just a great bunch of snapshots from all the departments. So I wanted to start out with who PIEAC is, and I'm going to go back and forth with my co-chair, Dr. Deb Henry, just talking about some of the accolades that we've done. And I don't know, Deb, if you'd like to open up about PIEAC or if you would like me to carry forward.
I have a piano recital in my background, so you might want to, from my son, so you might want to start, and I will add a couple things as you say in there. Thank you for them.
Excellent. So perfect. So some of the accolades that we did. So every year, every governance committee actually goes through their mandate. We looked at our mandate this year and really focused our efforts on, does it reflect equity? Do we serve diverse populations? How does that fit? How does that align with our mission? So as a collaborative group, we were able to look at that and provide a new PIEAC mandate for our Planning, Institutional Effectiveness, and Accreditation Committee. In addition, with that, we kicked off our new Vision 2025 Educational Master Plan. This master plan is over a 5-year plan that looks to achieve 4 major goals that span across and are driven by all of our strategic plans at the college. And so with that, we wanted to say, you know, as we reflect on our future and really looking at our mission-centric approach of, like I said, meeting students where they are to achieve equitable outcomes, how's that reflected in our planning? Do we provide adequate time to tell our story? So with that said, we actually went and took our planning cycle and revised it to provide more time for collaboration, discussion, and dialogue of what's happening at the program and department level. So we have a clear understanding as we do our planning and resource allocation as a college. With that, we looked at our key performance indicators. And in the past, we had 105 metrics to measure our performance, which, while it sounds comprehensive and it's fantastic in nature, unfortunately, I look at my colleague, Danny Pittaway, and I'm like, can you name like 5 of them? And his answer is like, of course not. And so what we did was we said, how can we make these memorable? How can we make these meaningful? And how do they impact the other plans and operations that we're doing at the institution?
Aaron, I memorized all of them. I know all of them.
I thought you got a tattoo of them, but thank you for reminding me. And so with that, we had a very rich conversation and to say, you know, what are the key metrics that we need to report on to reflect our success on? So we took 105 metrics and transitioned them down to 23. So 23 key areas that reflect across the college and are actually used across our different planning documents. So we're all looking at similar data so we can have similar conversations and head in a more focused direction, once again, to achieve our equitable outcomes. We took time to review our mission statement and to see, does it reflect diversity and equity in a way that we want? We provided a lot of great feedback from the team as we want to develop it in the next 4 years. So it's a new process we're going to continue to add with that reflection and collecting of information. Also, working with our new faculty accreditation liaison, or I'll say faculty coordinator, is what we did was to put together accreditation work groups. So we put it across all 4 standards of the accreditation document, so we can start reflecting to say, how can we move forward? Danny gives a thumbs up. You're never out of this, Danny. Standard 2 for life. And so we're going to be doing a lot of great work together. And then we've recently completed our annual planning and closing the loop report, which I will disseminate out to the whole college probably after this meeting, where it reflects on every activity captured in our program department reviews, which is over 500 different activities where nearly 56% have already been completed and 70%, even if they're in progress, have already produced an outcome. So we can really tell our story in that way. Those were mapped to our college goals that map directly to what we're doing to meet our students where they are. And what we found is the majority of our forward strategies or our goals for the future is tied in equity and achievement. Those are the top focuses of our institution in the programs, departments, and plans. And then recently we've completed our Coast Community College District Effectiveness Report. It wasn't myself, other than looking at some data, but everybody telling the story of the great things we're doing to support our students. I was able to work with many of you across the college to capture that information, and that information is going to be disseminated to the board. Now, in the past, they only used to give us 1 page. I took 8. I took all of our information, so it's 8 pages. Our sister colleges today, we talked to them. They're like, "You have 8 pages. We have 1." I was like, how about that? And so very good work we're doing at Coastline. I appreciate everybody giving me that excellent information. So moving forward, we're looking to share that information before we go to the board with PIEAC, with the college, to really highlight the great work we're doing across the institution with our data, quantitative, qualitative information. And then in spring, we're going to move to our resource allocation process. And we just completed our PACE survey. So thank you so much. There's 176 of you that participated in that survey. So it was a great turnout. And in spring, we're going to be doing our head survey, which we're going to be looking at a variety of factors related to equity, inclusion and diversity. And so finally, the end of this year, we're looking to receive an updated enrollment management plan, marketing plan, student equity and achievement. I shouldn't say success, student equity and achievement plan, foundation plan, and technology plan. So that's how our cycle usually goes, is we set the mission drives the goals, and the goals are actualized by our strategic or these plans right here. So, and that's how we'll be moving forward. And so I look to my co-chair. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I'd just like to make 3 comments. The first one is, we worked very hard on our mission statement to include equity, and to include equity as seen by our vision statement, which measures both equity in the student in the education and in their outcomes. Number 2 is our key performance indicators. I applaud Erin for getting that number down to 23, and yet they're still very formative. They still are very informative. They have the ones that we need for accreditation. They have the ones that help us with the student-centered funding formulas, and they have the ones that help us with meeting student equity needs. And number 3 is, I have to say, thank you to all the committee members of PIEAC. We had 2 subgroups that worked this semester, one on working on whether our mission statement addressed the equity adequately, and the other one working on the KPIs. And without having a wonderful committee, right, we couldn't get things done. So applause to our committee.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And so I'm going to move on to have Dr. Henry share about the Academic Senate.
All right, so good afternoon again, everybody. This is I've been 1.5 years into 2 terms of my academic senate, and I must say that it has flown by incredibly fast. Who would have ever predicted that I would have the majority of it in a pandemic? I mean, that's just unbelievable. But we've done a few things this semester. One of them is we looked at equity and how we could address looking at understanding cultural differences better. And after a survey of the faculty during the summer and early fall, we selected 2 readings. The first one was Notes of a Native Son by James Baldwin. We just finished analyzing that one. And in the spring, we're going to do The Best That We Could Do by Thuy Bui, which is the story of his Vietnamese journey in this country. And it's a graphic novel. I think we'll be able to do that in one meeting. We've established 2 task force. One is to look at respondents. For those of you that do not know, Proctorio ceased to be funded by the, our Proctorio, I think the freebie ceases at December 31st, and the district it goes with Respondus. So if we want to use Respondus, it will be at no cost to us since the district is paying for us. If we want to continue to use Proctorio, there will be a cost to us. I think the present cost may be down to 35,000. Christine can nod her head and I'll say, maybe that's right. It was from 75,000. So we have a task force looking to see if Respondus will serve our needs. We'll also discuss the whole issue about online proctoring in the spring. We also have a syllabus task force that's looking at our academic quality rubric. It hasn't been looked at for a while, and certainly not with the addition of Zoom classrooms or synchronous classrooms online. And so we're looking to see both is our online syllabus and Canvas, which really has never been vetted by the Academic Senate, and what we do with our own syllabi, what can we have a rubric that better addresses equity in it? Our department chair revisions has just happened, and that will be submitted to Dr. Rodriguez, the Vice President of Instruction, tomorrow. We have several new programs and several revisions of programs that are asked to be considered by the VPI. Our RSI task force meets next week. An RSI review form has been sent out to all faculty, and we hope everybody completes it. That will make the RSI task force duties, which will occur next semester, a lot easier. So those are going to be review of this fall online classes, whether it's military, contract ed, or general side. One class for each faculty will be reviewed at random. The plenary was attended by 7 of our faculty this year, and that was done in early November. And our business department was our Haywood nominee that was submitted to the State Academic Senate. And we wait and hopefully we'll hear good news from it. And lastly, I want to thank again all the 29 senators that serve with me. All my subcommittees are just amazing. And my executive committee, which consists of David Lee, Lisa Lee, Ann Holliday, Toby West. Oh my goodness, I knew I was going to do this. I'm missing one person, Dan Johnson. So thank you so much, everybody. And that ends the Academic Senate for fall of 2020.
Awesome. Thank you, Deb, and thank you, everyone. So I'll pass it over.
Oh, one more thing. Did I say Maryland Brock? I may have said Maryland. Maryland. Okay, thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Patty to share a little bit about Classified Senate.
Thank you, Erin. Good afternoon, everyone. So before we get started on the Classified Senate goals and activities, I thought it was important to share with you that although I get to present to you, this work is done by a group of dedicated people. We have 3 other classified e-board members, Alyssa Martinez, Ali Rocha, Ramon Cavillo, and Casey Hip, who's an ongoing advisor to us. We also have over 20 representatives serving throughout the district and college, representing the classified voice in all of these groups. And then on an ongoing basis at our meetings, we do have about 30 participants on average who are providing their perspective and opinions on the information that you seek feedback on, and then we provide back. So with that, I'd like to go over a couple of the goals and activities. And at Fall Flex Day 2020, we presented 4 primary goals, and I'm happy to share that most of those goals have been completed. So first, the development of a newsletter. On November 10th, we launched the Classified Dolphin, which will be a quarterly publication. And we tried to really focus on things that were relevant to classified professionals, such as what professional development activities are there available through Classified Senate, through the union, through the district, and through the college. Also recognizing participation by CPD, Kimbui and Yadira often provide us with communications and information, which we share at meetings, and then again, encourage classified professionals to participate in these various activities. Regarding promoting training, retraining, and cross-training, this is more of an ongoing goal. We have done some things to move this along. Like I mentioned, the aggregation of all the information within the context of the newsletter, that collaboration with other classified professionals in CPD. Also in January, we will be bringing someone from either district or college HR to talk about the work experience program, as there have been many questions that have been brought up in this area. We will also initiate a speaker series, which will focus on management and faculty members who were previously classified members, and really talk to us about their experience journey and provide some guidance and inspiration to us. The other was developing a team site. So this is really in the hopes of creating that continuity and sustainability of the classified Senate. And so we're looking for a central repository of documents and also a collaborative site. So we've been able to set this up through Microsoft Teams. The next one is the virtual traveling dolphin, which was also accomplished thanks to the support of Dr. Adrian and Dawn in marketing, who've helped us develop a logo, which we now use to identify the recipient of the Virtual Traveling Award of Excellence. And so at our last classified Senate meeting, our last physical recipient, Leonora, presented this award to Raman Dillon. And if you see her, please do congratulate her. The next one is increasing engagement. I've already talked to you about kind of our numbers, and we're really pleased about that. While we do have a core group of people who come to and attend all meetings, there is a nice variety of folks who attend when possible. Scholarship and fundraising. So scholarships, thanks to Maria Mai and Ramon Cavillo. Maria Mai is taking the lead for this committee and has really helped in getting everyone together. Ramon, in addition to being our treasurer, is leading our fundraising efforts during the vacancy of that position. And Ashley Lopez, who's been instrumental in setting us up with this whole process. We're very pleased to share with you that as of December 1st, scholarships are open. We will be giving a minimum of 2 scholarships out to classified professionals. They can be full-time or part-time, and then 1 scholarship to an hourly. So with fundraising, we will be hosting a fundraiser through Blaze Pizza on December 10th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. All you need to do is download the app or order online, and then 20% of what you order will go back to the Classified Senate with the intention of taking those funds to continue the support of the scholarships that have been created and that we continue to feed. Additional activities in 2020. We've started program presentations, and please excuse me, there is a cat in the room. If you hear meowing, I can't do anything about it right now. So we have program presentations. We've had a number of presenters this fall. Thank you very much for attending and sharing your knowledge with us and helping us grow. We've had Renate, Christine, we've had Aaron, and I see a mouse moving. Thank you. Paolo and Leah, who've shared very valuable information that we can now use to help students for us on the front line, whether or not we are within that area. DEI review is something else we've been working on. And with that, what we've done is we've been working with Leah Fleming, who's provided a number of resources to us. And one thing we will be doing is conducting a thorough equity audit of the Classified Senate. And we will be bringing back our bylaws at the January meeting for approval with the inclusion of DEI provisions. Plans for spring 2021, participation and engagement is an ongoing thing we've spoken about. Equity is important to us. It's something that's going to be critical and embedded within the context of our meetings on a regular basis. And employee morale is more about engagement, as we're all working from home and remotely, and we miss that social experience. We'll be working closely with classified professionals to really make them feel like they're part of a community, that there is that engagement there. Professional development, as I shared with you earlier, and really everything is being conducted from a Senate operational continuity perspective. So it's something that can be achieved and continued. And then just some considerations. We do have 3 vacant e-board positions. If you or any other classified members are interested, please express your interest to any one of the e-board members currently, and we would gladly have you join our team. Thank you for your time, and thank you for making this fun, Erin.
No, thank you, Patty. That was excellent. So I wanted to pass it over to our ASG. I believe we have 2 students and Casey here. I believe it's Spencer and Tessa, if I'm correct. If you wanted to share about ASG or Casey, so please.
Hi guys, I was going to start off for the ASG. My name is Tessa Pierce. I am the Commissioner of Public Relations for Coastline, and we put together a little promotional video that's also featured on the website that we were going to start our accolades with.
Excellent. So I can kick that off for you. I'm going to move out of the full screen, stop my share, and then reshare so we can see your video. So let me just share my other screen, please. Okay, hold on 1 second. I believe this is where I'll share this. So, perfect. So everybody hear that?
Hi, my name is Carnetta Sheffield, and I'm the Newport Beach Campus Senator at Coastline Community College.
Hi, my name is Jim Ho, and I'm the Secretary here at Coastline Community College.
Hi, my name is Roy Sahachaiseri. I'm your Associated Student Government's Vice President.
Hello. My name is Spencer. I am the Garden Grove Campus Senator here for Coastline.
Hi, my name is Bianca Gomez. I'm the Distance Learning Senator in ASG.
I had recently joined ASG in an attempt to become better engaged with my local community.
I joined ASG as an opportunity for me and a team of like-minded students whose goal is to become the bridge between Coastline College and the student body.
I'm finding that I'm gaining great experience becoming a community leader, and of course it never hurts to network, not to mention it looks great on the resume.
I joined ASG for 3 reasons. First, to get involved. Second, to be part of a great team of individuals. And third, to be heard.
And one of the ways that you can be involved in ASG is to sign up to be our Campus Club Senator, where you get to be the leader in the development of all of the campus clubs and to provide resources available to all of our students.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for letting us share that video. So let me go back to your presentation. That was great. Thank you again.
Of course, and thank you very much, Erin, for that. So while you get that settled, one of the big things we did this semester was we created that video that was spearheaded by the Newport Beach Campus Senator Carnetta Sheffield. She really spearheaded that and kind of took the challenge upon herself. And so that was one of the things we're very much proud of for this semester. But hi, my name is Spencer. I am the Garden Grove Campus Senator. I know some of you from other committees, so hello, PIEAC and whatnot. So some of the stuff that we worked on this semester, that video, we have worked heavily and have gotten almost all of the ASG positions filled this semester. We currently only have 2 vacancies, the Equity Senator and the Campus Club Senator. That was part of the reason we made that video, to try to garner more interaction with our students, with the rest of the student body, to get somebody to join up to fill those positions. We have activated 3 clubs thus far this year, the Nintendo Club, Esports Club, and Exploit Cybersecurity Club, given those proper awards, and those have been started. We have provided COVID relief and assistance funds for our fellow students. We've provided funds for the Sea Dolphin Assistant programs. We've provided a lot of scholarship funds, as well for a lot of our students, be it waivers or just some general scholarships. And we worked with Casey on that, and she helped us organize some of those a good bit. Thanks, Casey, for all that you do. We also provided funding for some race power privilege training for all of these students here. We provided that and gave that as a accessible thing for all the students. And we have been working along with many of you, to advocate for the Westminster Lee Jow campus parking lot situation. I'm sure a lot of you know everything going on with that. And we have been trying to advocate on our end as best as we can to make sure students have parking at that campus. Now, for some of the things we've been working on or have plans for next semester, we are actually currently working on a drive-in movie night. We have dubbed California Cruisin', a tentative slot in March of next year, just as a sort of community event to try to keep all the students interacting together. It's a good way to do that. We are definitely going to be working to make sure we can fill those last 2 remaining senator vacancies we have, maybe create more videos. Who knows? We'll see what that goes going forward. We have assigned our ASG Vice President Roy to the President Hiring Committee. I'm sure many of you have met him on that or from other committees. We are co-sponsoring the Diversity Dialogue series for students, working with that. And we are continuing to advocate for student success going forward. And we are doing online again next semester. So we're continuing to push where we can help our fellow students succeed. And so we are a really, really driven group of ASG members this year. And we're trying to get as many of our fellow students to join as possible so we can continue to do some really good work and just help out our fellow students. So that's kind of it for our presentation. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll hand it back over to Aaron.
Thank you so much, Tessa and Spencer. That was great. And so I'm going to hand it over to Leah Fleming with Student Equity and Achievement.
Gosh, I have to follow that. Making it hard, ASG. For those who do not know, my name is Leah Fleming. I am the Director of Student Equity and Title IX here at Coastline College. And so today I'm going to talk to you, like everyone else, about some of the accolades and things we've done this past semester, and then some of our goals for the upcoming spring, and a little bit about the future, because we're thinking about that when it comes to student equity and achievement. So I think as we started the semester, we did not really know kind of what was happening with the world. We were hit with many of the racial injustices that were brought center stage and really changed the course outline. And so with that, we've spent the beginning of the semester with all of you hosting open conversations, racial justice dialogues, and providing space for us as a college to come together in community to learn and unlearn. We spent the fall semester really doing that, focusing on co-sponsoring with ASG and Emoja to hold our diversity dialogues, which were done by Ron Jones, who's a Emmy Award winner, and promoting that across the campus for our students to engage in these conversations. We hosted racial identity groups for students across the campus. And that was actually done across the district, because we realized that these conversations, many of our students are attending multiple campuses, and we want to make sure that across the district, we are having conversations around DEI. And then as we continue to move into our unlearning of behaviors, Dr. Person has joined us as a consultant and has been working to teach and educate us. And then we, throughout Student Equity, has really been promoting and working with, as you heard earlier, with Classified Senate and the Dean of Students. We've come to other folks' meetings to talk a little bit about how you can then do equity audits. How can we look at our systems? How can we look at our policies to remove barriers that we as a college, we as an institution have in place? And those are some of the things that we've been doing in regards to this past year. We've hosted multiple workshops. I've seen all of you at those. And then we've decided through the help to Shelly and her team there to create an online online just hub of all of what we're doing, because we know a lot of this work you can't do, we don't do it one day, we're doing it multiple, so that everything can be in one place. As always, the main focus is to provide students with resources and support. So through Student Equity Office, we've provided over 150 students with technology, hotspots, earphones, whatever it is that they need. We've also started our Dolphin Assistance Program. This is our first year. Thank you to ASG also for assisting us. Thank you to Derek for letting me know I have money in my budget to do this, but being able to provide emergency assistance for students who are in need due to COVID and just whatever is happening in their lives. And so we've been able to provide direct funding for students, including that of immediate grants, but as well as providing book vouchers. So this is the first year through Student Equity, we've been able to provide book vouchers to students up to $300 of book vouchers. And so we provided book vouchers to up to 50 students thus far, meet our criteria and not a part of any other program. And so those are just some of the highlights for 2020 that we've been able to do thus far. Our plans for 2021 are to continue to support our students, to expand our resources, to include housing. That has come up even more with students and now in need of housing situations. So working on creating relationships with local hotels that will be able to provide opportunities for students. Aaron mentioned this earlier, the HEAD survey will be coming out in the spring, and all of you will be engaging in conversations around that, but we also will be holding focus groups for our students. We will be doing a student leader diversity training in late January with Dr. Person to really make sure that our student leaders are having these conversations as well. Our Emoja program within Student Equity and Instruction is going to be expanding to include our distant learners. We've also been expanding it even more so district-wide, but also region-wide throughout Region 7 here in Orange County. One of the other things that's coming up is we have chosen our faculty equity champions who will be moving forward for the 2020, what is this next year? 2021-2022 school year. And so we're meeting right after this, but we are really excited to have them on board to be able to grow and learn together, but then for them to also be able to go out and work with their peers to help us to help change the work that we're doing in the classroom. We will be looking at, there's been the call to action from the Chancellor's office, or as folks know, Aaron and I did a town hall this year as to our student equity plan is what it is for these 3 years. But as we've seen the changes, we want to also focus more on our racial equity. We want to focus on our language, so deficit language versus diversity language, equity-minded language. So we'll be re-looking at our plan to define it and make it stronger, because we'll be rewriting it anyways in 2022. So we just want to get ahead on that to make sure that we are pushing out and providing our students with the most effective information and services so that they can be successful. So that's what we've been doing with student equity and achievement. I want to thank all of you for going along this journey with us. I know that there have been some challenging conversations. I know things may make you feel uncomfortable, but I know that as we continue to do the work that we need to do, that it will just ultimately we'll be able to break down our barriers. We'll be able to relook at our policies, and we'll really be able to say that we are a campus that is diverse, that we are inclusive, and that we are equity minded, and we are moving forward in that direction every day. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Leah. Excellent presentation. And thank you for your leadership. So I'm going to pass it over to Josh and Shelley for Coastline Pathways.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see so many faces. Thank you to Shelley for staying on mute for the entire time that I'm speaking. You know, it was a lot to get her to do so, but she graciously agreed by texting me an hour ago that she will stay on mute. So we've done a lot in the last several years, 3 years. I mean, it seems like eons ago that we began this project of Coastline Pathways. And one of the things that I think has been the biggest accomplishment is I think that it's actually becoming part of our everyday work. It's no longer Coastline Pathways. It's more and more just what we're doing as Coastline. And I think that's a big, big achievement because for a long time it was really a separate entity from our college. And I think now it's really been infused to what we're doing. We have a lot going on. We have 45 plus working on programs and implementation of different aspects of Coastline Pathways. And it's been going, I think, very, very well. I want to thank Kate and Vince for all of their work with the champions, bringing them together and making sure that they have the resources and the time to work on the important aspects of Coastline Pathways. We've been working on several key things as faculty members, mostly the department chairs, but I also want to say thank you to Dan Weber and Amy Evangelista for working on the program maps. They've been working tirelessly with the different faculties to make sure that all of our programs are structured in a 2-year pathway that can be achieved by students. And we're just about to the finish line of that. We've started designing a lot of those maps, which is fantastic. We have a great team working on the Student Services Hub. And I want to point out that that project has now jumped to the forefront at the district level as well. The district is also speaking about creating student resource hubs. And I think that's a direct result of Coastline working on that project. And I think that's fantastic. You know, one of the bigger aspects of the Pathways project is bringing students into the college and making sure that they're oriented correctly. So we have 2 different things that we've developed, or one that we're developing and one that we've adopted. And that's the use of the MyPath through the Chancellor's office. And then we have a great team led by Bruce that's working currently on the Comevo orientation. A little bit of a wrench thrown into the works when we couldn't really do a lot of the video work that Comevo was hired to do because of the pandemic, but they're working around it and developing things daily to create a great orientation for our students. A team led by, you know, one of the so-so people at Coastline, Aaron, has developed a glossary of terms that we can start to implement into our daily lexicon and the learning journey terminology, and not just for us as faculty, staff, and managers, but really terminology that we want our students to adopt so that they understand the processes that we're talking about and they can communicate to us their needs effectively, right? Keep going on through these things. You know, you've heard about all of these, but all of these projects are continuing on. One of the things that I think has been awesome is that we've been able to realize the equity component of Pathways. And we've had 2, I think, great different workshops, or I don't know, town halls, whatever we want to call them, through Rob Johnstone and his work group in discussing equity from different perspectives. And I think that both of those were fantastic. We had great turnout for both of them. And I think it was nice to hear from some different CEOs and other places that they really see a difference. Communicating to the state our plans for the upcoming year or 2 through the state scale of implementation and adoption. That'll be coming to the Senate. And we just look to keep continuing the work. And this, again, just a reminder, is just Coastline Pathways 1.0. You know, we'll be looking to bring design teams back together to increase things that we're working on now and to add to them. And that's about it from me. Thank you, Shelley, for staying on mute the entire time.
Thank you so much for the update across Pathways and everybody's work on that.
Now I just have to say something. I just also want to thank Josh for his tireless leadership. He's been working around the clock and behind the scenes on a ton of these different areas. And thank you to everybody here. If you are involved in Pathways work in some project in any way, can you raise your hand? Yeah, I mean, it's a huge amount of people. So as Josh said, it's great that these are no longer
seen as Josh and Shelley's projects or anything like that. These are all owned by all of you and the many, many of you who are leading these, and we're grateful to you.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. And as we see our college transform, it's the great work we do every day for our students. And so I'm going to move on to our beloved VP of Admin Services, Christine Nguyen.
Thank you, Aaron. So also what I have listed following the template is the 2020 accolades. So by no means is this all of the accomplishment. That list will be provided to the President's office to be forwarded for trustee at the end of the year. But I tried to pick one from each of the areas under my oversight. So while we are continue to be in closure mode, M&O has been extremely busy. They have taken the opportunity with the closure of the campus to really ramp up all of the renovation and construction project. So under Director of M&O, Randy Flint, I want to thank you for the completion of the Garden Grove server room. We used to have servers throughout the different floor. We've now consolidated that, all of that into one floor with the state-of-the-art technology. I want to thank Dean Blair and Associate Dean Mary Kim for funding this project. It was a very expensive, over $200,000 for this renovation. All gender restroom, as you've heard Leah report, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We also now have an all gender restroom at the Garden Grove campus. We have one at Newport Beach. We have one at currently the College Center, but we currently do not have one at Lee Jiao only because of the space limitation. Elevator repairs, this was also crucial, as the aging of the facility. So thank you, Randy, for that leadership. I want to thank Mike Cover, who has retired since September, but he also makes sure that he completed the 2019 Clary report. For those of you who are not familiar, this is the annual security report that we have to file every year in October with the Department of Ed. And this is a huge compliance that we have to follow every year, because if there is a finding, it is a $30,000 fine citation issue for each finding that if we are out of compliance. So thank you, Mike, nevertheless for that. Thank you, Director of HR, Renate. Thank you very much. I know that this has been on the top of the list. So HR now has completed the offboarding process for the employee. And we actually tested it out with the departure of Mike Cover. So I'm very happy that we now have this. Dave Thompson, another very important manager. Thank you, Dave. With the transition of COVID going to the closure mode, he, under his leadership, has been able to deploy all of the equipment, loaners, including laptop, monitors, Chromebook. You've heard Leah report as well, over 150 plus deployed to the students. So this is crucial, for us to continue to work from remote, as well as for the student to continue with their online learning. And last but not least, just as important, Derek, Mr. Bowie. Thank you, Director of Business Services, for achieving another clean audit for fiscal 1920. A lot easier said than done, but you did it again. And this is very crucial as we continue to apply for grants or cultivate donors. The first thing they ask for is your audit report. So thank you again to the team. Plans for spring 2021. The completion of the 2030 facility master plan. This is really a district-wide endeavor. We hired a consultant. I'm sorry, that's my dogs barking. I don't know if you can hear them. I think they like the presentation. With that, it was scheduled to be completed last May, but because of COVID, we have to defer it into the fall, and now at this point, defer into the spring. And the deferral of this is good, because it allows time to incorporate into this facility master plan what we are going through with COVID. The next one, Randy is working collaboratively with his counterpart at the other colleges as well in developing a new M&O work order system. And also working with the district, we are developing the CCCD Coast District Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. Why is this important? In order for us to receive any FEMA funding reimbursement, we have to have a local hazard mitigation plan in place. It's a 5-year plan, And again, this was majorly contributed to Mike's leadership because he's in charge of public safety. So we will be having this by the end of this fiscal year. Another initiative is the implementation of the new electronic parking system. The public safety officers would no longer have to go and look for the parking permit display on the car. They now have the device where they can drive through the lot and scan and read your license plate and then match that to the database. So again, I know that Fred is also on here. Thank you, Fred, for your support as well, because we are really trying to bring technology into all of our services to the extent possible. And thank you, Kevin Harrison, our new Director of IT Academic and User Support, for the implementation of the computer refresh for the full-time faculty that launched yesterday, and it will be complete by the end of January. Renate, here's the other task that she has on her plate that we are going to launch in the spring, is the completion of the onboarding process. Even though we are going through a hiring freeze right now, we would like to have that in place. We understand the importance of meet and greeting the new employee and get them oriented with the Coastline College operation and culture. So we plan to launch that in the spring. And very last, I know Marilyn Brock is on here. You would be very happy to hear that, yes, it is in our plan to develop the draft for all of the plans that are required under Standard 3, facility plan, technology plan, financial plan, and staffing plan. So that's my report for admin services.
Thank you so much, Christine, and everybody for the work you've done in admin services. You make life a lot easier. So I appreciate everything you do. Except for, Dave, where's that laptop you owe me? I'm still waiting on that. Just kidding. So I'll pass it over to our Vice President of Student Services, Kate Muller.
Thank you, Erin. Hello, everybody. So it was hard. It was a challenge to put just a few words on a slide to represent everything that Student Services has done so far and what we're planning for the upcoming semester. But I selected a few different highlights. Thanks to a system and templates that Dr. Schoenfeld developed, all of Student Services are conducting equity audits, looking at programs, services, identifying where we have barriers that we have control over, because sometimes we have some compliance issues that put some barriers in place for us. But where we have leeway, breaking that down and making systems and processes and access all the easier for students. Some of these things, a couple of these things, you might hear from Vince as well, and that will be a testament to the how much we integrate and work together between with Student Services and instruction. Pathways Champions, Vince and I have been working very closely with the Pathways Champions, being resources, more barrier breaking, and helping to identify who needs to be working together and how do we help facilitate that. Counseling, all the counseling courses are OEI, did I get that right? I might have my initials wrong there. We have regular VPSS communications that we now send out college-wide every week. And we have a concerted effort going and making some great progress. I want to thank Charmaine Harrell for taking the lead on that to help organize and help strategize. And we're involving many people, Dawn, Erin, Natalie, several people, and I'm going to miss people and I apologize for that. But how do we make sure that we're being effective and efficient with our communications? There's so many factors that go with that. We've distributed a number of dollars to students based on pandemic related funds, whether it was CARES Act or COVID or disaster relief. And that always feels good to give students money to help them keep going forward. Adaption of programs and events to 100% online. We already had made great progress over the last couple of years with moving things additionally online, not just our face-to-face programs. And it just continues to become more robust. We've expanded, the team expanded Coastline Cares, which is our food pantry. Instead of it being at College Center, we're now at 2 locations, Newport Beach and Garden Grove. Compliance in all areas, that was mentioned, PIEAC was mentioned by Christine. And similarly, we have some compliance areas that affect the entire college, one being the consumer information, and many people in this meeting are involved with helping us that. And Patty Franco, thank you for corralling all of us for that. We meet our deadline every year. It's, I don't know how many pages and how many items. Now it's like 60 or 70 items that we have to update and to be in compliance in order to keep our federal financial aid for our students. Another one is within financial aid. Chin's done yeoman's work on getting our PPA, which is, oh, I forget what it stands for. My apologies, Chin. But it's our manual, it's our policies and procedures that have to be submitted to the Department of Education, and it is a beast, and he got it updated and done. And ASG, they are just stellar. And I'm sure I'll have accolades for them in the spring as well. And coming up, Vince and I will continue to host films and discussions. We're going to continue equity-based language, moving away from deficit language, and being more inclusive in our content. We also included, for the first time, student services and some other areas, including pathways, outreach. I think I might be forgetting something. Continuing with a robust programming for students and employees. You've heard some of those highlights from Leah. You'll hear it from others. Implementation of MyPath. Kudos to Charmaine and Natalie for their leadership on that. Continued creation and deployment of dynamic forms. Those are our accessible online forms that can be submitted, found online, filled out online, submitted online. And Charmaine and a team, Charmaine and Tuan especially, leading the charge on that. And I'm working closely with Aaron, and we're bringing in some others now for getting a college-wide AI chatbot. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kate.
Oh, I forgot one thing. I'm sorry.
Please.
One thing. Vince is going to piggyback on this. We're submitting some nominating some folks for excellence awards through Community College League. And we are nominating 3 of our faculty and student services, Amy Evangelista, Dan Weber, and Claudia Mojica. Surprise! They don't know this.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for the update, Kate, and the work that your team is doing. And so I'm going to pass over to the Vice President of Instruction, Vince Rodriguez.
Thank you, Aaron. I was starting when you said you were going to pass it along to the beloved, and then I realized you weren't talking about me. So I was a little disappointed.
I would have said assistant Vince Rodriguez. That's what I would have said.
But first off, I want to say thank you to everyone at Coastline, because the things I'm going to go over are not anything that are done in a vacuum. They're done in collaboration with everyone that has already spoken and everyone that also going to continue to speak today. And I appreciate all the collaboration and partnership. As a result, I have a little bit of imposter syndrome that I'm talking about things that really are on the backs of everyone else doing the work. So I want to say thank you to everyone first and foremost. And I also want to start off by saying equity is at the core of what we're doing. And I appreciate that I'm hearing that in every other presentation also. So other colleges talk about where they want to be with equity, but Coastline, I see it in every day. So thank you. So some of the things that we've done, and this is only a small list, there's a large list. I think there's 3 pages of instructional division alone that we compiled this year. But we transitioned online from our face-to-face to remote learning and to online learning. And it is quite amazing if we think back to a day in March when some of you that are on this phone call were in a room with me and a few others, and we talked about that there may be a need for us to move remotely. What would that look like? What should we think about? We started putting together a list. We were going to meet the next day to work on it. And by Friday, I was called to an emergency meeting at the district. And by Sunday, a message had gone out saying we were shutting down and we would resume after spring break. And everyone just did so much. I know in the faculty center, there were dozens and dozens of training sessions for faculty. Our staff across the entire college quickly moved to going to training to learn how to use new tools and new communication tools. And over again, and when we opened back up after spring break, our students were getting served, whether it's instruction, student services, admin services, right away. And I didn't see messages saying we were closed. I still see messages from other colleges saying they're closed and they'll get back to you when they can, as opposed to we were open, we were already easily transitioned to the online environment. So thank you. Last year, we continued to exceed the enrollment target in the district as far as rather than just meeting the 17.38% of the total district FTS, we were actually at 18.72%. So that was a great job last year. I'm going to talk about that number in the spring because I need some help. Some of the awards and accolades, I'm only going to talk about a few, but in cybersecurity, we continue to get awards and receive recognition and honored as the Center for Academic Excellence. Supply chain and also received an award this year, as well as many other significant programs. We continue to be one of the largest, actually, we continue to be the largest in the California virtual campus enrollment, the largest number of classes in the enrollment. So we hear some of the alphabet soup of OEI, meaning Online Educational Initiative, or Online Education Initiative. We continue to be among the best in there and have the most opportunities for all of our students. So I thank everyone for all their work and what they've done there. Along the same vein, our library was among the first, thank you Elizabeth, to be in the California Library Services platform. So we were on the cutting edge there. And as we were serving all these students and moving online, I don't think many people realize how much special programs has done. DSPNS, mainstream support, and everything else. The statistics that were provided were just incredible. I don't think anyone would be able to predict, other than those programs, how many more students they served this past year, how many more courses they served. And oftentimes people don't know that because they do so well in providing that support to students that many times even faculty and staff don't even realize how many students with disabilities we have because they helped up front. So I want to commend them on that, and they've done a fantastic job in that area for us, as well as everyone else serving our students. We've been able to start, thanks to Dana, our Dean of Esports and Emoja, and I'm looking forward to us to provide many more affinity groups across our college. A couple other things I'd like to say that aren't on the list. Open educational resources, that's another one of the alphabet soup. We do a great job. I thank you to all the faculty, and again, thank you to Elizabeth for what she's doing now, and Scott for everything, Scott Davis, everything he did before to help our faculty to provide the open educational resources, which are free items. Everyone's work on Coastline Pathways. Again, Coastline Pathways is embedded in everything we do, and at most institutions, they are still trying to really understand it. So I thank everyone for that. And again, those are just a few of the accolades this year. A much larger list will be provided. As we look to spring, this is an area where I have to thank Christine Nguyen, our vice president, helping on the administrative services side. We all work together, as well as student government, advocating at the Westminster City Council meetings for affordable parking at our Lee Jao campus. We will be conducting equity reviews. We'll look at our schedule plans and from an equity lens, our curriculum through an equity lens. And this also aligns with what the Senate has already talked about when they're looking at the use of respondus. And I know they are also considering an equity lens, and our deans are also looking at how we do our testing, how we use our syllabus. So we will continue that and expand on that and look at all of our plans through an equity lens. For our full-time equivalent students, meaning the enrollments we have, this is where I'm for help. We want to get back to our goal of being at 17.38% of the district total enrollments, and we're off to a really slow start for this spring. So you've already heard me over the last few days in a variety of meetings, any help we can provide and how we might reach out to more students, retain more students, help students get registered. So whether you're a classified manager or staff, anything you can do to help us along that way. We are confident that the enrollments will pick up as we get closer and closer to the first day of class. But right now it is much farther behind than it was in the prior years. We are also considering preparation to return to campus. So I will also share, and Dr. Adrian may have something to add to this, but we are probably looking at sometime in fall before we have any significant amount of students that are likely to return to our campuses. And develop facility plans for increasing the community activities on our campuses. When we do return to campus and we open up, we want to look for opportunities of how we can use our facilities for more engagement with the community and more of the community coming into our campuses as we move forward to next year and beyond. Again, thank you for all you're doing. Oh, Kate talked about it. So we did submit some names to the Community College League for Innovation. These are awards of excellence. They are for for individuals who provide a significant difference in the lives of students in our community. And our deans provided some names for us that we submitted, and I will share them now. Kevin Erdkamp, Toby West, Oceana Collum, and Celeste Ryan. So they have been submitted from the instructional side of the house to be nominated for that award of excellence. I want to thank them for everything they do and how they do impact the lives of our students. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vince, deans, faculty, for all the work you do in the support of our students. Thank you again. And so now we're going to move over to the President's Wing. So the President's Wing is spans across institutional effectiveness, marketing, foundation, the Office of the President. So when starting this fall term, I promised Darian, who's our grant development specialist, I said, you know, we're just going to get to managing grants. We're not going to write grants. This term, we wrote over $3 million in grants. So whatever I said at the beginning of the term, I threw out the door. So thank you so much to not just Darian, but to like the 30 or 40 people who have helped us write these grants. So we're just waiting on a response to hear, have we received any of these funds? As a district, we've been taking a lot of leadership at Coastline in collaboration, myself and Shannon, helping with Dwayne and the other colleges to develop a whole process on data standardization, really focus on reliability, validity, and integrity of our data and information and how it's disseminated to everybody with a focus on ease of access and clarity. So there'll be more to come with that. We've hosted our fourth cohort of data coaching. So far, I have a great group of colleagues in there with great ideas. We've just finished that up this week. So if you didn't get your posts in, I know you're on this, so get those done. And so, so far, everything's going good. We've released new data dashboards. I released one yesterday that we did a study with LinkedIn and EMSI to track student post-graduation jobs and estimated what would you say, salaries. And we did a breakdown by gender and ethnicity, so we can start looking into that to see where equity gaps exist within our students post-graduation. And then, so now moving over to marketing in collaboration with instruction, with Dana and crew have launched an e-board or an esports logo and brand. In addition, last week, we Coastline released our online shop, so you can get a variety of Coastline swag. Also, there's a new set of videos coming out that have been released and they'll be released in the future, not only locally, but then also through the CBC OEI grant related to our different programs, degrees, certificates, courses. The digital catalog was also launched this fall term. So students can look in their areas of interest to then find the different programs that are associated with that in alignment with the vision of moving forward with pathways integration across our college. And then finally, Foundation has developed their new strategic plan, which really focuses on the key efforts to help scale and sustain our foundation. Foundation has also added a bunch of new partners, and they had a great presentation at their program department review at our last meeting at President's Wing Council. So really looking for spring, what are we looking to do? So one of the things that we've been tasked with is we have an IEPI grant, which is an Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative grant. And so with that grant, Kate had alluded to it earlier, we're looking to do things a little bit more futuristic. And so really adopt things such as augmented reality, virtual reality, and also artificial intelligence on one side. You know, in collaboration with a variety of our faculty, we're already starting to set up the projects to create opportunities, as Vince alluded to, for destination sites for our students to come to interact with a variety of technologies. In addition to that, that grant is looking at competency-based education. I look at my colleague, Dan Weber, who's been attending many of these online webinars and providing a lot of this great information back. He messaged me at like 7:30 this morning saying, you know how early this is? And then I was like, I thought you were my alarm clock. Yes. So with that, I appreciate the work you're doing with that. And as we further along, we're going to look to complete the data standards project with a data element dictionary update. We're looking, as mentioned earlier, to conduct the DEI head survey. Also, we're going to be hosting our 5th cohort of data coaching. Marketing is going to be releasing their new view book and video. And then they're looking to really increase the efficiency of our email channeling in collaboration with the work that's being done and led with Charmaine. Is just a collaborative effort to look at how many times we're contacting our students. When are we doing that? We don't want to over contact them. We want to provide them the information they need in a timely and effective manner. We are looking to release the 45th anniversary logos, designs, and events in collaboration with the foundation. Finish the Vision 2020, or not the Vision, the Marketing Plan 2025, as mentioned in PIEAC. And now the foundation is looking, as they're preparing for their scholarship ceremony in spring, looking for the different opportunities to do that. And then also they're going to be starting with a new campaign for the naming of our new student services campus. So that is what's occurring across the president's wing. And so with that said, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Marilyn Brock, who is going to do an interview with Danny Pitaway and also Elizabeth Horan. I'm going to stop my screen sharing because I'm just going to share the first screen and then I'll stop screen sharing because I know Danny has a fantastic video he would like to share. I don't know if it's before or after, but I will let you, Marilyn, and Elizabeth take it from here. So thank you so much.
Hello, thank you all so much for coming. In the interest of ongoing reflection and evaluation as required by the ACCJC, we developed some accreditation work groups. The work groups for standard 1 and 2 both met this fall, and we developed some questions for our experts on hand about accreditation. So our first interviewee will be Danny Pitaway, who's here with a video to share with us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to actually speak. I was moving my mouth, but nothing was coming out. I'm still new to Zoom. Yeah, it's not really a video. It's more of a presentation. So let's, I hope you enjoy this. Let me know if there's any typos. I didn't really have a tutor look at this, so I don't know how it's going to come across. I'm Danny Pitaway, faculty member. There's my former accreditation titles. And when you think of accreditation, you think of fun, right? So let's go. Right. Oh, excuse me. I don't know how that got in there. I thought I'd give you a very clear visual about why the standards are important and what it's like to work deeply within the standards. So I'll just let this slide kind of sink in. Okay. I want to remind everybody, we're trying to go for 60% by 2014, okay? So keep up the energy, keep it going. We're almost there. It's an old joke. All right, I thought I'd deliver a top 10 list for how to prepare for, I guess, creme brulee, or I don't know, accreditation, either way, same thing. Update your Second Life avatar. This is number 10. Renew your CompuServe account, set up your Lycos email address, and make sure that your GeoCities webpage is in tip-top shape. We're almost at Y2K, people, so get ready. Number 9, I'd like everybody to drive to the wrong campus for the wrong meeting on the wrong day. Do this at least 3 times a semester. It's an old normal joke. Number 8, okay, this is getting a little more serious. I really need everyone to memorize the content on every page of the college catalog from 2019 through 2023 from all 3 colleges. I know that we've already done this. This was how you all got your jobs, but I'm just reminding everyone to keep that up. Number 7, it's important to actually write about how your department meets the standard in haiku form. Let me share one with you. Limitless voyage, college center, parking lot, concrete canvas, yes. Pro tip, how to work through accreditation. Okay, lots of arrows and things means that there's information going on and there's things happening. So you got to start at the end, you got to go backwards, go forward, maybe go sideways, end up where you started or not. And always remember to be kind and rewind. Board minutes. Who doesn't love board minutes? Collect them all, trade them with your friends. You know, watch their value skyrocket. These are the baseball cards of the 80s, people. Board minutes, get on it now. All right. Here's a slide that, here's the heart of it, really. I've been on 2 different ACC-JC teams. I've evaluated other colleges, and on the inside, as everybody knows, since 2000 some odd whatever, I was the principal writer and coordinator for accreditation here at good old C-Line. And I want to emphasize to you it's actually simple, the simplicity of what accreditation really is. When you go to another campus to visit it, you really want to see that the people on the campus have a read on the pulse of that college, that the college has a heartbeat. And I think for us, I think we've landed on something that works really well, which is meeting students where they are. I personally ascribe to this adage, and I think it says a lot, and it works on many different levels to meet students where they are. I can tell you it is extremely important that you don't have to memorize the mission of the college. It should mean something to you, and it should resonate with what you're doing. And with Standard 1, which is all about institutional quality, it really is about the heartbeat of the college and its mission. And for us, obviously, that's meeting students where they are, which I know we all do. You want to be able to articulate what your department does in terms of meeting students where they are. Okay, you always want to thread the mission through everything you do for operational continuity. I like that phrase, I heard it earlier. Yeah, know that the visiting teams want to see essentially that we're a quality institution that cares about itself, cares about its students, and that cares enough about all of that to self-regulate. That's at the heart of accreditation. It's a peer-run organization. It's not a form of policing or anything like that. It's colleagues from other colleges coming to visit and check out how our college works. And I want to support, I want to use this moment that I have to, even though it's a few months late, to very much endorse and pass the torch, as it were, to my good friend and colleague, Marilyn Brock. I really appreciate you, Marilyn, for taking on this task. And I'll always remain here able to work on accreditation things and lend the, I don't have any hair anymore, you know, I used to have some, but anyway, I'm doing okay. And I look forward to supporting Marilyn and what she's gonna do. And I think she's got big things planned. And so anyway, I just wanted to jump in here and give everyone a chuckle for a minute, but also to say that it is important meeting students where they are, make that meaningful to you. And really that's what accreditation is all about. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Danny. Next up, we have Elizabeth Horan of the library, and I have a few questions that were developed by our work group for Standard 2 for Elizabeth.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. I
All
think
right.
we should tell people what Standard 2 is first. I think it's important that people understand the 4 standards and what Standard 2 covers.
All right, well, Standard 2 covers student learning programs and support services. And what Elizabeth does falls under Standard 2 because she is in charge of the library services, which is under support services for our students.
Good job. Okay, ask my questions. Danny and I are Standard 2B, which is library and learning support services.
2B.
All right, so Elizabeth, how are we continuously improving? How well are we using data to continuously improve our teaching and our learning, as well as the support that we have?
So aren't you guys all glad you're not the one being asked this question? It's like I'm in trouble, right? Well, I'm going to only talk about this mostly from the library, but I will bring in that our college, through Dr. Zettner's office, has provided incredible training for data. And our college has always looked at data in terms of how we're supporting students, where we're missing things, and how students are giving feedback. So in the terms of the library, we consistently look at data from students for what they use, how they click through our website, and what they're doing in our library workshops. We also work with the Institutional Effectiveness Office on surveys, and those surveys go into everyone's program review, or not the program review, the administrative or the other program review, not the program, the department review, so we can see what we're doing. And that data really helps us to stay focused on what students are seeing and what we're doing. So I think after our last accreditation visit, and I will have to say I'm just starting my 5th year here, or I'm in the middle of my 5th year, so I don't have a long lens for what's happening, but I have seen that there's been a lot of training about data, and overall as a college, we find it really important and we use it to make decisions. And that's not something you see across the state. So Coastline's doing a really good job, and thanks to Dr. Zettner and his office for offering that training and the availability of those data dashboards to everybody.
All right, awesome, thank you. So how do you keep up with knowing what the students need and what the instructors need? Has that evolved over time or hasn't changed since the time you've been here?
Okay, so I've been here 5 years, and all these things are going to evolve, because if we're not evolving, we're static and we're not moving forward in any way. So the very easy way to say, how do I keep up with what instructors need, is that there's always a librarian on the curriculum committee. So as curriculum is going through, we're always looking at how is the library able to support that? What content do we have? All of that kind of stuff. In terms of students are very honest with the library because we are not grading them. We always try to say that we're a safe space. And even though we're a digital safe space, students will call, text, email, Zoom us, all of those things. And so they give us a lot of feedback. And we also provide online library workshops that instructors require students to take. And this fall, we've had over 1,000 students take those workshops. And in those workshops, we ask a lot of reflective questions at the end. And we take all of that feedback and we move forward with how we can improve. And that's kind of how the library hears that. I know that as a college, there's a lot of different ways that we get feedback from students. And so I think it'd be great if we could find a way to share that more with everyone around.
All right. And finally, how do you utilize your work as an example of applying an equity lens to meeting the standards with your work in the library? And how might other instructors, such as special programs or military or incarcerated student instructors, how might they answer these questions in their areas comparatively?
Equity lens is such a Dr. Rodriguez thing that I hear him say all the time. So in case people are not aware, the library at Coastline is 100% online. So when we talk about equity, for me, I always think of that as access. So how do our students access the library? And when we're going to talk about technology, we'll talk about, how fast is their internet connection, those kinds of things. So in my case, I always think of that. In terms of the military, special programs, and incarcerated, when it comes to access, I in the library need to make sure we can find a way that those students can access our resources as well. So what I do is it's not the same, right? An incarcerated student cannot come on and get internet access. So I try to find a way to get the services we provide to the majority of our students to those students. And when it comes to special programs, and I am not an expert in any way at this field, but I understand that everything we have needs to be accessible, that we in the library need to use very simple language that meets the majority of our students, and that we need to be able to sit down and help as many people as we can where they are. Danny talked about meeting students where they are, and in the library, we definitely do that. And in the military, in the library, we have a phone number that people can call and text, and we have military students contact us at like 6 in the morning, 3 in the morning, any of those things. So we're trying to find a way to just provide as much access as possible. I also am looking at the library in terms of equity in a different way for our language, for our content, in addition to our curriculum. But I think it's one of those things that all of us just need to think about. How do our students access our college, and how can we make that easier for them and make sure we're providing the services that we have, especially in Standard 2. So thanks I think that's it, right? 3 questions?
Yes.
Okay, I pass.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Thank you, Danny and Elizabeth. That was all we had.
Thank you. And so before we go, and I appreciate everybody staying. I know I said this was going to be an hour, but the content was just so rich and good that we've exceeded our time. I did want Dr. Adrian to close out. If you have the opportunity, Dr. Adrian, to share a few final words.
Okay, I'm having some plumbing work done, so I'm gonna try so that you don't hear it. But as I was listening, I couldn't help but be very impressed and so proud of all of you, not only because of the accomplishments, but the tone. The fact that each of you didn't take credit for all the work that's been accomplished, but you complimented your colleagues. And to me, I think that's at the very heart of Coastline. So I'm getting a little bit emotional, but as I was thinking, this is my last planning summit. And I think I live in good hands. I think that you are the engine of Coastline. And so regardless of who comes in, I think that Coastline will be in great shape. So thank you so much for all that you've done and you'll continue to do for our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adrian. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. I will send the recording out. We appreciate you. I wish everybody a safe and happy holiday break. Thank you again, and we'll see you next semester. Thank you again, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.